I'm an intel guy, like in the military, right? So I'm real data,
Numbers.
So analytics, right? So when he dropped the numbers on me, I'm like, you made how much?
In 2.5 years?
He's like, man, look, I'm going to Okinawa debt free. I pay this off, pay that off, like, and I'm going to go to Okinawa and collect cola, right? And make even more money. And I'm like, hold on, right? I was already messing around with, with stocks and investments. I already read Rich Dad Poor Dad about 4 times, and I'm like, wait a minute, no more. It was like one of those where I had a conversation with him. I hung up the phone, and the first thing that I did was call somebody to get pre-approved for a
That's awesome.
Like for real, like coming back full circle, man. It's surreal. I was driving here thinking about that. I'm like, man, how cool is this, right?
Yeah.
That like, but like we got into the same industry doing what we do now. Right?
Both of you.
Mm-hmm. Both of us, but. Man, we were both drill instructors on MCRD San Diego. So like I use this right a lot when I talk to my clients when I'm telling them like, man, like don't do what I did, which is wait, right? Why, right?
And you waited how long?
14 years.
You're 14 years active duty before you decided to pull the trigger by a house.
E7 in the Marine Corps. I was like, oh man, let me, and it was because of this guy, and he was a sergeant. He was in E5.
And
right?
E7. Wow.
And I was in E7, right? And we were both on MCRD San Diego, right? And he had bought a house, right, in Vista, right? We were down at MCRD San Diego, and I was giving him crap about it, like, oh man, like look at you, like, oh, you having to drive and ha ha ha, right? But even though it made
you were like celebrating him buying a house.
It was one of those where it's like, again, it goes back to like the I wouldn't say ignorance, but it's just when you don't know something, right? So it was one of those where I'm giving him a hard time, right? And he was just like, man, whatever, you know what I mean? It's my house, I like it, But then it's a 3-month cycle. The second cycle, he was only 15 minutes away from his house.
Oh, there you go.
Right? Which I didn't even connect the dots on it. Then our tours are over, right? He goes and gets orders to Okinawa and sells that house.
Biggest mistake I've ever made.
Oh, man. What year was that? What year?
2016. So
man.
The house I actually owned was in San Elijo Hills.
Okay.
In San Marcos. So I bought it for $300,000. It's a townhome, corner lot. $300,000. I sold it for $445 after.
Nicely done.
For 2.5 years.
Yeah.
See? What the heck?
It's
and
worth
that's
$585 right now, and it's renting for $3,000. My mortgage was like $1,800.
That right there, when he went, because I'm I'm an intel guy, like in the military, right? So I'm real data,
Numbers.
So analytics, right? So when he dropped the numbers on me, I'm like, you made how much?
In 2.5 years?
He's like, man, look, I'm going to Okinawa debt free. I pay this off, pay that off, like, and I'm going to go to Okinawa and collect cola, right, and make even more money. And I'm like, hold on, right? I was already messing around with, with stocks and investments. I already read Rich Dad Poor Dad about 4 times, and I'm like, wait a minute, no more. It was like one of those where I had a conversation with him. I hung up the phone, and the first thing that I did was call somebody to get pre-approved for a
That's awesome. So basically, you had a great influence on him.
Yeah, and it was funny because whenever I was getting my real estate license, so we talk. So surprisingly, we're not in the same company, but we talk a lot. Like, at least once a week, we'll call each other, just talk like, hey man, I learned this week or whatever.
That's cool.
Because it's not a competition. It's like it's
friendly competition in a way, but you're supporting each other and your careers.
It's so many buyers out there. There's no way I can assist everyone.
Exactly.
So, but I'm going to give him the tools that I have to help him better someone and vice versa. So I called him. I'm like, hey man, I'm taking my real estate. I'm studying for my real estate license. He's like, oh, me too.
Seriously.
But you hadn't told him that you were.
No. So then, and funny enough, right? The other day, I'm going back to our text message because I was looking for some information on a new build, right? And I stopped and I was laughing. My wife's like, "What are you laughing?" And I was like, "I'm laughing at the thread between Ronaldo and I, right? Because I took my exam before he did, right?" And then it's like me telling him, oh, man, it's so much to study. I don't think I'm going to pass. It's like, nah, you got this, man. you know, again, giving the positive reinforcement, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't even there yet. He was just like, oh, man, you got this, right? So I took it, I passed it first time. He was like, oh, man, good stuff, right? Then it was his turn to take the exam. And he's like, oh, man, it's so hard. And I'm like, I'm reading the message, and I'm like, nah, man, you got this. And you know what? Same thing. He took it, and then he passed him the first try, you know, and then like coming back full circle.
The worst part is when I first met him, I hated him.
I'm not going to ask why, because I think we're on camera still.
Oh no, it was like some old drone.
It was a waddy.
That's exactly why I went. I'm like, hey, I was a brand new drone circuit. He was. I'm like, hey, we got PT tomorrow. Can I get 2 gear guards? And he's like, he's like, oh no, we got classes and all the recruits have to be there. And I go upstairs and they give me 2, and it was like, yeah, we don't have classes. And long behold, then he gets shafted, and he's in my company now, where I'm the, you know,
you give him a hard time.
No, not really, because the cycle before that, I kind of killed the company. So now I walk around big headed. I'm like, no, you can't. And he almost took my throne from me. I'm like,
that's an interesting thing, though. That's pretty profound what you said. 14 years you were inactive. You have the ability to do it. You just didn't pull the trigger. Just because you didn't know better, right? Exactly. It's really what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's no other excuse. You just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And he came along, and he didn't even maybe tell you to do it more than you just kind of watched and observed. Like, wait a second, look what he just did.
Exactly.
So if that's the trigger.
And I took the initiative. You know, it's one of those where, you know, kind of what we talked about before we started this, you know, where I'm like, man, look, my takeaway, right, and what would make me, you know, sleep better at night is knowing that somebody watched us talking about it, and then it's the little button, you know, that kind of sets them off to say, if those 2 E7s are up there talking about, you know, something that worked for them, maybe, you know, me being in that position, you know, regardless of rank, okay, well, you know, I mean, I would trust that, you know, these experienced service members that have been in a while, that have done a thing or two, been to, you know, on a couple of deployments, you know, a couple of duty stations, you know, nationwide, that they would trust that what I'm saying, right, and it's one of those, it doesn't matter, like, you know, where you go, this and this, and it's not about the business, right? So this is where, you know, and I don't think it was captured before when we talk about, you know, the advantages that we as active duty, right, have when we're talking to other active duty, right?
If you start, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, because I tell them, you know, hey, look, for one, right, I'm bound to the USMJ as you are, right? So you don't have to worry about getting conned, getting scammed, or anything like that, right? Because I'm bound to the same, you know, rules and regulations as you are, right? Honor, you know, integrity, and everything else that comes with it, right? You know, but above that is I am you. I am in the position that you are. Like I am living proof, right, that you can do it, right? And then, you know, if it helps add a little bit of, you know, someone feeling comfortable, it's the income. I'm getting paid, you know. I have my income, so it's one of those where you don't have to worry about, you know,
taken.
You know, is this guy taking advantage of me because he's, you know, because of the money? It's not about the money. You know, at the end of the day, like, I have my income, I have everything else. Like, it's genuine, you know. So I, unlike, you know, maybe somebody who relies on real estate as being the primary source of income,
they have to have that deal closed.
Exactly, and you know what, I have where I'm like, brother, like, you know, with us sitting here, I can't, in good faith, right, as active duty as you are, right, in the position that I'm in, tell you that you are in the best position to buy a house right now. So it would be more beneficial for you, you know, hold out for a couple months. Let's work on X, Y, and Z. Let's do these, you know, and then eventually you will be in a better position.
Let me ask you, I'm curious. You really regret selling it, huh?
Yes, I do.
And you only sold it because you were PCS. You were going out of here to Japan?
Yes.
You didn't think about keeping it at the time?
At the time, it's the same thing. I wasn't educated on it. So now, like, I understand the market. Like, now I'm like deep into investment. Like, I'm personally, like, you know, buying other properties out of state right now for investments. That's what I'm looking at now. But at the time, I didn't know, and I didn't understand the market. So it's not even the fact that if I would have sold it, when I sold it, yes, did I make money off of it? and a decent amount of money. And especially, especially at 25 years old, like I'm in a job where I don't get bonuses. So, having, I'm not going to say that amount of money hit my bank account. I'm like, hey, baby, we're rich. Let's go to Vegas. But we end up, we did it smart. We paid off all our debt.
That's awesome.
Which, now I almost like, I'm like, someone's like, oh, I have this much money. I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm like, how low is the interest rate? And they're like,
right.
Oh, it's a 1 point. Nah, you don't need to pay that off.
Right, leave it alone.
You don't need to pay that off, man. They're not charging you that much money. I'm all about trying to teach people to as much money, and that's the biggest thing about being a VA buyer, because you get to keep all your, even if you do have 50 grand in your pocket. I had a buyer come to me. He was like, hey, I want to buy a house. Me and my wife want to put 60 grand down. And I'm like, why? And he's like, so we can get the payment lower. And I did the math for him. I'm like, yes, you can put 60 grand down. For every $10,000, it'll save you between 60 to 75 bucks based on the interest rate. And, we did the math, 60 times 5, 5 times is about $300 a month that you'll save. If you do that $300 a month in 12 months, and that's $3,600 right there. It's going to take you 10 years to get half that money back.
Right, recoup it.
Where you could have used it in other avenues. Let's get you in a house with a higher payment.
Very smart.
And keep that money in your bank account, because at the end of the day, it's like if you're in a situation, that money in your bank account can use to help you cover that mortgage if that's the case. So don't spend the money that you have if there's no need. Keep as much cash on you that you can put in other places.
That's awesome. As we wrap it up, last words, what do you got to say, 30 seconds, to someone that's sitting on the fence, that qualified, they're active duty, or they got out, whatever. In 30 seconds, what do you say to someone that's sitting on the fence? They're not sure.
I would say stop, waste no more time, right? In these 30 seconds that I'm telling you, right, you should have started 30 seconds ago, right, is stop, give me a call, let me walk you through the process, and we will get you in the direction they need to be in, right? We'll take a look at your profile, get you started, and you won't make the same mistake that I made.
That's awesome. Ronaldo, what do you got? 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Someone's on the fence. They're thinking about it. They're not sure.
First thing I was asking was like, why are you on the fence? It's like, why? What's the advantage? And then I'll break down. It's like, this is the benefits that you have, and I'll tell them the benefits of what they're doing, vice paying somebody else's rent. It's like, that's awesome. So my whole goal is I want to teach people to create passive income and generational wealth. It's like, stop paying for somebody else's goals when you can pay for your own goals yourself.
So they call you or call him? No, don't answer that. I'm kidding. Guys, hope you enjoyed this. We're just sitting here talking, both active duty gentlemen, and they both, at one point in their career, could have bought a house, decided not to, or just didn't do it because of absence of good information.
Exactly.
But the good thing is, when they realized it, boom, they pulled the trigger. And I think he owes you lunch or something. And if you're watching this, hey, give me a call. I'd love to do your VA loan. My number's on the screen. Give one of these gentlemen a call, Ronaldo Wilson, Bruno Nascimento. They'll take real good care of you. And we'll see you on the next show. Take care.